Hi, welcome back to our podcast, Books Don't Review Themselves. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Kim. And today we're going to be doing a movie review. We're going to be talking about the 1996 horror movie Scream, the one that started the franchise. I'll read a very, very quick synopsis and then we'll get into it. A year after the murder of her mother, a teenage girl, aka Sydney, aka Neve Campbell, is terrorized by a new killer who targets the girl and her friends by using horror films as part of the deadly game. Short and sweet. All right. So, like I said, 1996, I was in college. And you were?
I was probably in kindergarten, first grade.
Yes. So what'd you think?
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I liked it better than Heather's and Candyman. And I think it was really fun for me, too, because seeing, like, Drew Barrymore and seeing...
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
And Campbell.
Yeah, just seeing all these actors that I see now that I've never really seen a lot of their, like, early stuff and what they're, known for.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just kind of fun, like, seeing Drew Barrymore. I don't know how old she was in that, like, I don't know what her actual age was, but that part was just...
She's probably in her 20s, like, mid-20s maybe, early to mid-20s. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And so I really enjoyed it. I felt the gore was like the because I'm not someone that really enjoys like gore so much. Because a lot of times when gore is done, I feel like it's just like
fake.
It's fake. It's excessive. Like that was some of the thing with Candyman was it's just like a lot of gore for like no reason. I like more of the psychological. So to me, this was like the perfect mix of like gore that made sense and then the psychological. But what's so funny to me is to see this Scream character with like the mask and whatever. And it's like so many people like, is this person for Halloween and whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it was just like, it's so funny because like when you think of like Michael Myers or you think of like Freddy Krueger, whatever. Jason. And then it's like, here's some dumbass in a fucking mask and like a black tarp.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. I find that comical. Like there's this killer on the loose with this Halloween costume.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked it.
Well, good. I was in college, like I said. I was in the dorms. This movie, I watched it. I was blown away. It was like no other horror movie I'd ever seen before. I instantly became a fangirl.
What did you have to compare it to at that time? Like, what were some of the other horrors that you like had liked at the time when this came out that you can recall?
Nightmare on Elm Street was one that I've always enjoyed. I was probably 8 or 9 when that came out.
Okay, so there was a pretty big
gap.
Oh.
There was a gap. You know, a lot of the classic ones, like you said, Michael Myers, so on and so forth. April Fool's Day was another horror movie, the original, that I've always really, really loved.
And I should know when I say Michael Myers, I've not seen any of those.
Anyway. Oh my God, we'll watch one day. But looking at this too, I mean, not that we've watched a lot of movies in this part of the podcast yet. This is mid-90s, the one that you had watched, Heather's, which isn't a horror movie, but that was 80s, and Candyman was 80s as well.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, this was a whole another decade later,
right?
So there's a big difference between these quality and also storylines between the 80s horror movies and the 90s. I mean, 80s was gore and blood and guts and what can we do with these special effects. 90s still had special effects, but it tamed down in some cases,
like it expanded more on the story.
Exactly, which is what I love. And just this story, I mean, if you haven't watched Scream by now, what the F is wrong with you? Go watch it.
Really go watch it. Even if you're my age, it's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like it a lot.
But going back to college, like I was just blown away. We also, when I was in college, that's when the Blair Witch Project came out.
Oh.
And
I've seen that one.
Yes. And I loved the Blair Witch Project once again because it was something different. I mean, there had been other handheld horror movies before then, but they weren't like mainstream. They were more like some dude in the basement had a bootleg copy from somewhere, and I don't go into dudes' basements with bootleg copies because you'll end up dead. So I never really watched those. So when the Blair Witch Project came out, I was blown away by that one too. Now, if after that, if you ask me to watch another shaky hand movie, I hate them. I do not enjoy them at all.
See, I actually, this is kind of
Do you
funny.
like them?
I watched Blair Witch Project with my dad, like one
Mhm.
weekend, like when I was in high school. I think I had had a surgery. And so we were like, well, let's go rent a movie or whatever. And I was like, Dad, let's watch this. And he's like, okay, because he likes, that kind of stuff too.
Mhm.
And we had to stop it probably about halfway through and like not watch it for like an hour
Were
because
you ill?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get really bad
Mhm.
motion sickness.
Mhm.
And that was really bad. Like
Mhm.
a lot of action films nowadays, like I can watch in one sitting because the way that action is it's I don't know, it's just done differently than that handheld and the movement.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, I get really bad motion sickness from stuff like that. So like Xbox, like
Ugh.
where like a person is moving,
Yeah.
but also like the
land around
yeah,
them.
it's just too much for me to handle.
Mhm.
That's why like Mario is perfect. The Blair Witch, I liked it. That is like the type of movie that fucks with me a lot.
Mhm.
Like Scream, not so much.
Teen horror to me are fun. They're just
But
amusing.
like Blair Witch, it's like that's the kind of shit when someone's like, oh hey, do you want to go to a movie tonight and go see this? It's like, nah, I'm good. I've got like shit to do. Because it's like I'll watch it after the fact, like at home or something, and like my husband has to be home that night because like that's the shit that like will fuck with my mind. Yeah, because there's no way
you can't go against a ghost
against it. And like
Mhm.
I am someone that does believe in like paranormal stuff and that entities are out there and whatnot.
Watching you get undressed and have sex
Yeah,
with
and
your
I don't
husband.
yeah, like I don't necessarily like think like, oh, there's like something in my house or whatever, but I do believe that that is a true thing and that it does exist. Whether I've encountered it or not, I don't know, but that's scary to me because it's like you're just being completely, I like to be in control of things, and in that scenario
you can't be.
There's no like none, and that
freaks you out.
Yes.
So besides Blair Witch, going back to Scream, my roommate, thank God Sarah was tolerant of me. So my side of the dorm room had Scream pictures up and like the maps of Wardsboro, and it looked like a murder wall. That's how it was.
Like with like the pinpoints.
Yes. It wasn't quite that bad, but I mean, that was my side of the room because I was just blown away by this horror movie for the time, and it was just so different. And yeah, so it holds a very special place in my heart. And like we were saying briefly before, even like the other ones in this series are good too. The third one is probably my least favorite, but even when they came out, with the fourth one, I don't know when that came out, kind of like a revitalization of the thing. I even enjoyed that one. It's just, they're just, I don't know.
Now, with that, like you were saying, the fourth one, have you seen the new Michael Myers movie?
Yes, with
the most recent?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you feel about that with the others?
I enjoyed it because it had a lot of nods back to the original series. Jamie Lee Curtis is a fucking goddess, so whatever she's in, I love. I enjoyed it. Like I said before, I don't mind remakes. There are people out there who are haters.
Absolutely.
Yes, they're like, no.
See, and that's the one, like, Josh really wants to see, and I kind of really want to see it because it looked good to me. But I didn't know, like, should I start with one, or...
You can watch that one. I mean, really, you can watch any because
they're not totally correlated.
Except for Season of the Witch has nothing to do with the other ones, the other Halloweens, but that one is a cult classic in its own weird way. When the newest one was coming out, I had watched all the ones over again because it had been like years since I had seen some of them, just so I could have it in my mind.
How many are there?
8? I don't even remember. I don't know. Quite a few. And then Rob Zombie like redid 2 of them too. And his were enjoyable in a weird way.
Who is he? I've heard of him.
He's a singer and he does kind of heavy metal stuff, and he's really into classic horror movies. Okay. So it incorporates into his music and stuff. He's interesting. I'm not a huge heavy metal fan, so I don't get into his music, but those remakes were fine. His remakes, I enjoyed them for his unique vision on them, but they're not ones that I actually didn't rewatch those two when I was preparing for the newest one. I had seen them once. That was enough. But people out there, love him. I'm just not a huge lover of him, which is fine. I mean, various parts of it, when Tatum gets smushed in the garage door, that was just like, her face, it looks plasticky, and it was just so cheesy and horrible.
I love the cop brother.
Oh,
he's so stupid.
He is. He's funny.
And I was honestly kind of surprised by the killer.
Mm-hmm. Who were you thinking it was?
I don't know. Like,
you're just kind of like, yeah.
I really didn't think it was the boyfriend. I thought maybe it was like the dad.
Okay.
Because like he kind of wasn't in a lot of it, so I was like, oh, maybe it is him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of who else. Yeah, I didn't really think it was gonna be who it was.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, when you found out the killer, when I found it out the first time, I was blown away by that. I'm like, oh my God. And then, when it came out on DVD and like when we watched it together again, and I'd probably seen it like 6 or 8 times in between, but seeing which killer is at which part, and seeing if it really does match up. That's the part that, like, when you watch it for the second or third time, you're like, oh my God, it really works. And that's just mind-boggling cool.
Yeah. I really liked it. So, and I'll probably watch it again.
Cool.
So.
And we'll have to watch the other ones.
Yeah, I do want to see the other ones because I've heard they're good as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
the second one, and usually, sequels to a horror movie, especially, they're just, capitalizing on the gore and wanting more money. But to me, the second one, it wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still very, very good, which is, I think, unusual for a horror movie.
And I'm assuming the killer changes.
Mm-hmm. But yet it's still kind of all tied together in ways and stuff. And also, too, I mean, this was back in the 90s, and Neve Campbell's character in the first one, she, knows how to defend herself, which is great. And Gail Weathers, a.k.a. Courtney
I
Cox.
love Gail Weathers.
She's awesome. She was.
Sorry, I rearranged your face. Just like
bam! But this was before the Me Too movement of nowadays, and these women were kicking ass, and not afraid to do what needs to be done. And I thought that was also very cool, having this back in the 90s already. I mean, it's been happening for centuries. I'm not saying this is a new thing to the 90s or to the 2019s, whatever, but just to have this in a movie, plus a horror movie where usually the women are just big-breasted bimbos who are running up the stairs when they should be running out the front door. Just to have that was just another good element to it that I enjoyed.
Yeah. And wasn't that quote actually in the movie? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, yep, that sounds familiar. Yes.
And then, like, while we were watching it, I was, like, repeating lines or saying lines before they were being said. So, yeah, I don't usually do that because I know that's irritating, but I fucking love Scream. So it had to happen, and that's how it went. Yeah, we'll have to watch at least number 2.
Yeah.
As well as if you want to watch, the other ones. Definitely. We also watched Ma that night, which we're going to do a review and podcast of. Yeah, I'm glad we watched Scream second to make it better.
Yes.
Besides my undying love for this movie and franchise, I don't really have anything else.
I don't either. I highly recommend it, though. If you have not seen it, it's a good classic. So
excellent.
Like, subscribe, I guess. Come back for more. This is just kind of like
a fun thing.
Yeah, our fun little extra episode. If you have suggestions for movies, like probably 80s, 90s,
let us know.
Apparently there's a lot of movies that are just excellent that I have not seen.
Jenny sent me a Facebook message, and she said she was catching up on our podcast, and she's like, how has Jessica never seen Dirty Dancing? Just what the F is wrong with her?
Yeah. So, like, if you have some really good suggestions, we are open to them.
Or not so good. There's some crappy movies, a lot of crappy movies out there, but
yes.
Yeah.
So, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.